All right, y'all. Welcome back to Tailored Parenting Tips. This is tip number 35. When they show interest, tell them how you grew up, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So in tip number 33, I talked about letting them choose how they celebrate their birthday and how at her 15th birthday dinner, Claudina wanted to know more about my side of the family. So I shared in tip number 34 how I told them about my family. And in that same dinner, then they wanted to know a little bit more about me and how I grew up. So I took the opportunity to share with them the good, the bad, and the ugly. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to start with the bad and the ugly and end with the good. What I shared with them that it was that the bad side of how I grew up is by the time I got to the US at the age of 9, I got teased mercilessly for being an African. And I remember distinctly being teased and being called an African booty scratcher and being asked questions like, hey, shorty, like, in Africa, like, do y'all like wipe like with leaves and stuff? And I shared with them that that was quite hurtful and painful, but I had to grow a thick skin because I realized that the kids that were teasing me were doing so out of stereotypes and they were misinformed because I definitely know how I grew up and none of those stereotypes were true. But of course, it's not nice to be teased when you're in your late preteens or early teens. And the ugly, I shared with them in depth how my stepmom was someone who didn't really like me. And in fact, because of our culture, being from Sierra Leone, my dad would mainly tell me that it was important for me to respect her as my mom, because culturally she would have been my mom. I think probably in most cultures that's the case by marriage, right? So to make a story that was quite painful a bit more understandable, I went as far as to share with my kids that she used to tell me that I was a bastard, that I was a thief, and that I would never amount to anything. And she would get upset if she made food, for example, and I ate food, she would say that I ate too much, or she would accuse me of taking things that I didn't take. I shared with them stories of her coming home from work and me being on the phone with my best friend at the time, Arden, and she wanted me to get off the phone, and I said to her, okay, I'm just hanging up the phone. And before I knew it, she had taken those old school phones and basically smashed it across my jaw. And I shared with them that one time I was cleaning, sweeping in the apartment that we used to stay at, and I guess I wasn't either doing it fast enough or the way she liked, and she took the broom out of my hand and basically hit me with it, breaking the broom handle or the broomstick on my shoulder, like around here. So I gave them those stories to just give them a sense that, look, I mean, it's in life, sometimes we end up in these types of situations where, through no fault of our own, a family member or someone we trust and love is very abusive. And in the case of my stepmom, she was very abusive, both physically and emotionally. And the good, though, is I shared with them how I was very fortunate to have a father who sent for me, as most of us who are immigrants, and especially immigrants from Africa would say, and brought me to America. And he impressed upon me that I had an opportunity that many family members did not have. And he wanted me to make sure that I used that opportunity not only to benefit me, but to benefit those family members. He didn't want me to waste the opportunity. So with that type of encouragement and that type of constant reinforcement, it did instill in me a sense that I should do more, that I could do more, and that whatever I did, I had to make sure that I did it and help other family members. And with my stepmom, eventually, I just developed a mentality that was fueled by this desire, this really burning desire to prove her wrong. I wanted to show her that I would become someone. So I shared this with my kids, that eventually I started thinking the more she would say those things to me, like, I'm no one's bastard, I'm not a liar, and I'm going to be someone big, very big, you just watch. So that fueled a lot of positive things in my life. So I applied myself academically and was able to do very well in school. I applied myself to sports. I applied myself to extracurricular activities. And by the time I finished high school and went to Brown University, I felt that I was succeeding in so many different fronts. And it just was a good feeling to be able to pick so many different things and to be able to do well in them. So triple majoring in Brown, I think in some ways is a testimony to that drive to continue to prove my stepmom wrong. So in 4 years, I was able to finish and get qualifications for economics, international relations, and Afro-American studies. All of these things I share not to brag, but just to say that when our children are curious and they want to know about us, I think it's really important for us to share with them like the true stories of who we are. And then on the lighter side, so they spent quite a bit of time with family members, and I think well, I know for a fact that they asked like, what I was like when I was growing up, and family members also shared with them different stories, some stories that I may not have wanted them to necessarily hear, but nevertheless, when they brought that up, like when Gilbert brought up that he heard that I used to be a ladies' man, I also talked to them about that, about dating and being a young man, single man, like trying to understand the dating scene and relationships and how I learned from that and grew from that as well. So let me pause here and just check in with you. What about you? Are you spending time telling your kids about you, the real you, the good, the bad, and the ugly? I think it's important for them to know us. I think it gives them a deeper sense of who we are, but also a deeper sense of who they are and what's possible for them. And for example, with the bad and the ugly, I think it shows them that they got it quite good. And also that even if things are not going the way they want, that they also would have what it takes to overcome, persevere, and achieve. So drop me some comments and let me know. And if you've liked this video, please smash the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you think someone would benefit from this video, please share it. If you'd like to be notified when I drop the next parenting tip, please hit that notification bell. All right, y'all. Thank you and see you soon.